As the world faces tremendous geopolitical and economic uncertainties, many around the world are turning their eyes to China's economy. How will China's economy perform in 2025? How China will respond to various challenges so as to maintain stable growth? With those questions, I came to Peking University today, where I will be interviewing Professor Justin Yifu, a renowned economist at the prestigious university and a former chief economist at the World Bank. To check out our conversation, welcome to another edition of Decoding China. Thank you again, Professor Lin, for taking the time to talk with us. I want to focus the interview on China's economic outlook in 2025. There are so many predictions and projections. Some are pessimistic, others are rather optimistic. What's your take on the outlook for China's economy in 2025?
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world. But there's one thing is certain. That is the stability and dynamic economic growth in China. I think in 2025, China should be able to grow at a rate of 5% or more, and China will continue to make a contribution to the global growth of 30% or more. I think that would be a good news, not only for China, but also for the world.
So what's your the source of confidence in such a growth rate of around 5%, which was last year's growth rate?
Certainly, we will use our macro policy space well in both monetary policy and fiscal policy. But we will also use our industrial policy to promote our new productive first in traditional manufacturing sector, to digitalization, and to apply artificial intelligence, to use green technology, to enhance the quality of their growth. But at the same time, certainly, we will capture the opportunity in the fourth industrial revolution, like in the artificial intelligence and so on. And we also use structural policy to further deepening our reform to unleash people's entrepreneurship in China. So if we combine all those policies, I think we have very good opportunity to arise, to achieve the growth target that's set up by the central government.
So new quality productive forces is obviously a top priority. But in terms of growth drivers, consumption, domestic demand remains the biggest. And in terms of consumption, there have been a lot of policy measures that have been rolled out. This year in 2025, what other policy measures do you think will be rolled out to further boost consumption?
I think the first one, certainly, the income of the people will continue to rise, and that is the most important foundation for consumption. And secondly, we will use policy to enhance the confidence of consumption. For example, we will strengthening the social security system. We will also stabilize the housing market, and we also improve the educational system as well as other social dimensions. So with those, further reform, I'm sure the potential of consumption will be unleashed.
In terms of challenges, what do you think will be the biggest challenge China's economy will face in 2025?
Well, I think the challenge is certainly a challenge in facing the world. That is fragmentation and also nationalism and also unitarianism that in the world. But for us, that is a challenge, a common challenge for many other countries, for the world. But as I said, China will continue to maintain stability, and China will maintain open. China will continue to champion globalization.
Specifically, in responding to some of the unilateral measures imposed by the U.S., how China should respond? How would that affect China's economic growth?
I think that it certainly requires some adjustment. If you impose higher tariff rate on China's export to the U.S., then China will have to expand other markets in Africa, in Asia, in other parts of the world. And then China may relocate some of the production to other countries. Certainly, we will also make some adjustment in our production structure. But overall, I think trade is win-win. And trade is based on the competitive advantages of both countries. And in areas, although U.S. imposed a high tariff rate, but it did not change the whole picture. It's going to have some impact. But overall, I'm still confident. As long as we do our homework well, we will continue to maintain stability and dynamic economic growth.
In terms of foreign direct investment, the numbers are actually going down. Well, how do you explain that in terms of the changes in the market and China's economic prospect?
First, that is not only happened to China. The foreign direct investment in the whole world declined, and China is part of that. That's one thing. And it means that many of those kind of reduction in the foreign direct investment was related to the COVID-19 pandemic. But also you can see with Chinese policy, change in the Chinese outlook, you're going to see more and more foreign direct investment will flow back to China.
What do you expect China's economy will grow, for example, in the next 4 or 5 years, in the next 5-year plan period?
I think up to 2035, in terms of growth potential, China still have the potential of 8% growth. That's a potential growth rate. But certainly we need to cope with all kinds of challenges. And we also want to achieve common prosperity and all those kind of other social needs and so on. I think that with 8% growth potential, China should be able to maintain 5% or a little bit more than that growth rate in the coming years, up to 2035.
Well, thank you, Professor Lin, again for your time. That's all for this edition of Decoding China. See you soon.